Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my beginner's guide to Master Ninja on Ninja Gaiden Sigma. This is the third section to the Chapter 7 Monastery, and as soon as you land down here you want to save and you're going to get attacked by those ghost things. I fucking hate those ghost things. They are a pain in the ass. They only seem to respond to movement, like T-Rexes, and they come in and swoop you, and if you're not careful and if there's enough of them, they can gang rape you on Master Ninja, and there's nothing you can do because you get stun locked. It is atrocious. I am not a fan whatsoever. But you can do a shortcut by jumping down here like I did, but very careful because if you miss you will die, and if you've not used that save point you'll be quite a ways back, so just bear that in mind. And as soon as you land on this altar you're going to get attacked by the slidey imps, whatever the hell these guys are called, the armoured rock imps or something. These are the most challenging version of the imps, but at the same time they're not that bad. They behave a hell of a lot like the other guys you've found. They're susceptible to the Izuna drop. You can flying swallow them. You can block / guard cancel most of their attacks like I just did then, because they will break your guard but you can evade. The only real threat is when they do the slide. They will do two slides. They'll slide one way, they'll slide back another way. And just touching you will break your guard. If you don't do the roll cancel and move away, they will grab you and they'll do a little beat down. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's still damaging enough to be like, hang on a second, you dickhead, get off me. So the sooner you learn that enemy, the better, because you're going to be fighting them a lot. And you'll notice I now have the Dabilaro, or whatever it's called, the Dabi as I call it. And this section is going to be really boring, so I'm going to talk about some other things. All I'm going to be doing here is to ensure that you don't get hit against these guys. If you do counterattacks, they can't break your guard, so you can just pretty much counter all of them. The only problem is there's a lot of them, and I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm not going for a no-hurt run. I just wanted to mess about with the Dabi, so this is going to be a much longer version of this fight. To do it quicker, Flying Swallow, use the Essence to do the Lunar Ultimate techniques. Or the DCTF, the Dragon Claw Tiger Fangs. Entirely up to you. This is a very simple fight. This is going to be me showing you the longest way to approach it, so I apologise. But in the interim between coming down to this section of the monastery and being upstairs where the chapel were and the Ryu clone, what I've done is I have ran, since I got the shurikens, you know, when we got them from the altar, got the shurikens so now I can open those walls, and I've ran all the way back to Tyron, which is, you know, the streets where we were going through before on chapter 4, and I've gone to one of the areas where there was one of those walls, and I've used the incendiary shurikens, and inside there, if you do a wall run, there is the Dabi. It's in a chest, and on earlier difficulties Muramasa will give you it when you give him scarabs and things like that. You'll get it a hell of a lot earlier, but on Master Ninja you have to get it from that chest, so you can either do it now once you get the shurikens before you come down here, or you can do it later on when you're moving through. But I wanted it because it's one of my favourite weapons, so I went back and got it, but I didn't put it in the videos because it was needless backtracking and I didn't want to bore people with it, as opposed to this super exciting, tense counter fight against this giant flying testicle. But what I'm going to talk about, because the difficulty on this level is going to drop considerably compared to the ones we've just been doing. Aside from the boss, if you're not careful with him, and this bullshit archer section, the underground section is significantly easier than anything with ninjas, because you're going to be coming up against an enemy that is very docile. It attacks extremely slowly, and it is the easiest to watch. He will signpost everything he does. These guys aren't that enemy. These guys can be quite challenging, as I get grabbed by that grab I mentioned earlier. These guys, though, once you learn them, they're not too bad, and you need to get comfortable fighting them, because you're going to fight a lot of them on Master Ninja, and the sooner you get comfortable, the easier it will be. So when I was playing this game, I decided to write down a couple of bullet points on what I would fix if I was the director of the design team. And I found out that we're actually releasing a new version of this on the Vita, which is the new PSP. And that sounds really cool, because I like handhelds and I like Ninja Gaiden, so putting them together could be something really interesting. And I'm hoping they change the game a little bit to give them an excuse to re-release it, because if they just put it on a portable, I would be really pissed off if it's just a straight port. So I thought of a couple of things I would personally tweak that are not that complicated to my knowledge and would make this a much superior game. And the first thing that I put down on my little list was to optimize the game better, to get rid of the mid-level loading, and to make the load screens faster. So obviously this is entirely down to how the game is made, and if they fine tune it enough with the newer technologies that we've got, maybe it'll make those, you know, less of an issue, because that is something that frustrates me with the game, and I think if they removed it, it would be just so much better for it. And when you play the original Ninja Gaiden, there doesn't seem to be as much mid-level loading, so it's only in this port that the other team of Team Ninja did where they got this problem from. So it makes me wonder how it was generated and how they would fix it, but that is the first thing I would like to see changed. My second one would be better checkpointing, and what I mean by that is I would prefer checkpoints in between encounters so that you can focus on those encounters, and when you die you don't have to travel from the save point. That would get rid of a lot of frustration and keep the difficulty of the game. Also, on the boss fights, I would like it so that the game checkpointed after the cutscene when the start of the boss fight occurs. So when you press retry or when it reloads automatically, you bang there, stood in front of whoever killed you, and the boss fight is starting. There's no cutscene, there's no bashing start button to skip it. You're straight back in the action, there's been a really short loading screen, and you're happy, you're content, you're fighting again. The third point, New Game Plus. I do not understand Team Ninja at all. I have no explanation for the design choices that they make. I really don't get them. The first Ninja Gaiden had a play called Successive Play Mode, where when you beat the game and you played through it again, Muramasa would give you all the golden scarabs that you attained through the game. And you get a lot of prizes for having the golden scarabs, so you would get weapons and things like that, and it can be a pretty cool time. It does not, however, give you the weapons that you had previously, or your life bar, or your nimpo, or any of your skills, or anything like that. So, it's kind of dog shit if you ask me, especially if you're playing on Master Ninja, because you have to get all the fucking scarabs to get anything worthwhile. And I only know where about 45 of them are, so I just get armlets that I don't need. And it's not as cool. Ninja Gaiden 2, New Game Plus existed, and it's amazing, it's really fun. The only problem with it for a lot of people was you could only do it on the difficulty that you beat, so people could not take a fully maxed out character into the next difficulty. They had to play it from a fresh save and get their ass kicked all over again, and nobody wanted to do that unless you like Ninja Gaiden. Then on Sigma 2, they took it out, and then turned it into like a chapter mode, which makes no fucking sense to me. Don't get that at all, so I would love this to have a New Game Plus mode where you carry everything over, including your life, including all your upgrades, everything, your essence, the job lot. And the reason I say this is because I would love to smack Murai with the unlaboured flawlessness. I would love to shit in his mouth with it. I would also like to hit Dynamo with it. I would like to hit everybody with it. I would like to do a unlaboured flawlessness run because I love the weapon. It is so rewarding and so terrifying to use at times. It's awesome. My next few fixes are slightly shorter, but they're all pretty damn unique. The first one would be, I would like 100% hit rate on the Flying Swallow against Alma. And what I mean by this is, when you do the Flying Swallow to her, I don't think she should be immortal through it. I don't think she should be able to block it, because at the end of the day, you can barely block anything she fucking does, so the fact that she can do it just makes it frustrating. And I could actually amend this a little bit, because the Alma fight itself I don't mind. I actually really enjoy the Alma fight. It's the awakened Alma fight that I find to be really cheap. And this is probably what this is in regards to, because when she's on foot and she chases you down trying to do the claw attack, when you Flying Swallow her, sometimes Ryu just does not hit her. He doesn't do any damage. It's as if she's invulnerable, and I think it's bullshit. So I think that should be changed so that every Flying Swallow attempt will hit her as long as you hit her. That should be how it works. You should get rewarded for hitting her. By the way, these are the enemies that are very easy to kill. They do a lot of damage if you're not careful, but they're very slow. And the best thing to do is focus on the archers because they're the threat, then use the essence to UT their friends. It's that simple. I'll be talking about these guys in a later video, so I'm going to go back to my list of fixes. My next one is a small pet peeve of mine that really pisses me off. On Ninja Gaiden Sigma, you cannot unequip the Talisman of Rebirth, so it uses it automatically and it frustrates the dick off me. Ninja Gaiden 2, they fixed this, so there's no excuse for them not to fix it again. It just makes sense, it's dead simple. My next one is something that I would love because I am an impatient person and it would just relieve a whole lot of stress that I get from this game. And that is, have a button mapped which is a restart checkpoint shortcut. So if anybody played the old, PlayStation games, or even this game will do this, if you press start and select, it will automatically reset the game. I do not want this. I want you to be able to press start and select and it automatically reloads the checkpoint. I do not want to have to skip the fucking cutscene of that stupid Black Sea, go to load game, load my game, watch the loading screen, pick the level, press OK, then go back into the game. I want it literally, press both those buttons, I want to be back in the game, completely reset from where the checkpoint last was. I don't think that's unreasonable. In fact, I think that is fucking amazing, and that's what all these action games should have. Hardly any of them do, and it's a big shame, but that's what I would like to see changed there. So my next two fixes are boss related, because there are a couple of pet peeves I have with the game. My first one is they should fix the frame rate and the slowdown on the Hydrocubus fight, because it's unfair, and all it does is end up getting me hurt. I hate it, it's annoying. It just makes a lightning fast, reflex driven game turn into just a bowl of soup, and I don't like it. It needs to be fixed. Second thing is more of a pet peeve for me because I don't like it either. That is the tank boss. The main cannon should not have splash damage. It should just be a projectile attack that has to hit Ryu, so that you should be able to wait for it to start firing it. As soon as it fires it, you should be able to do wind path, and it should miss you. You should not be able to dodge it and still get hurt. I think it's bullshit, I think it's cheap, and it shouldn't be in the game. My next few are more cosmetic than anything else. They are a hell of a lot slighter. And one of them is a couple more bonus unlocks for the game. I know this game does do unlocks very well, but there's nothing cooler than unlocking costumes for doing things in the games, or just unlocking like weapons or something, just a couple of bonus unlocks to give the game something new. That would be quite nice. But actually gameplay derived stuff that would make a change that I would like to see implemented is the mission mode is a fantastic mode, but it doesn't quite do everything I would like. I would like a practice area, like a practice arena, similar to the one that you'll find in God of War, where you can load in any enemy that you want, you can load in however many of them you want, you can set their difficulty, you can set their aggressiveness, you can set their behaviour patterns, so that you could just learn the enemies. And I would like it to be the same with the bosses, so that you could experiment and practice and get good with things instead of having to do it through the game and get frustrated with the bad checkpoints, with the skippable cutscene bullshit, and just things that you don't necessarily need. And if they would do something along the lines of these kind of fixes, it would be one of the best games ever made, one of the best action games ever made. And if you're a Ninja Gaiden fan yourself, if there's anything else that you'd like to add to that list, what you think should change or get tweaked, feel free to do so. I'm interested in what people think. And if you don't really know much about Ninja Gaiden and you're thinking, why the hell am I talking about a game that's this old, then go fuck yourself, cause this is a classic.